Hey there, this is Caitlin from Bandy's Books, and I'm just here to do my weekly update. It is the last weekly update for May. That's crazy. I cannot believe that May is already over. I feel like this month just started. It has been so insanely busy. So I think it's just blown by even faster than usual. So this week, in terms of things that have been going on, so I started at the new store that I've, been supposedly changing to. I shifted over midweek. So I spent the first 2 days at my old store and then 3 last days of the week at my new store. That's going well so far. It is a little quieter, a little more chill. The staff seems very nice. I haven't even actually met everybody yet, but so far everybody's been very friendly. So hopefully it'll be a good spot for me in the long run. I kind of just need a place to like settle into a regular routine and kind of chill for a while. So hopefully that'll be this place. I went rock climbing this week, which was really nice, and I was really happy to tackle some very difficult routes on the rock climbing walls. I was doing some 511s this week, which I haven't really been able to do a 511 for a while, just because I haven't been consistently climbing. So like the hand strength and arm strength has been a little bit low. But this week I was finally able to get up and do some 511s, which usually have like a little more technical grips, a little bit smaller grips. Got to use your fingers a little more instead of like your whole hand. And so it was nice to just get a few challenging routes in. Feel like I've started to make some progress back towards like where I was before. So that was exciting. And then today was my day off. So Oz and I went up to the mountains with one of my good friends here in Vegas, and we hiked this trail, stopped and got some coffee in the morning, hiked up this trail. It's really nice. It goes along a creek. Up at the top, actually, the creek, like where the creek usually originates from the spring was frozen. So there's like a nice glacier up there. So that was real pleasant. And then we hiked down. It was kind of cloudy, but not cold. And it was just a good day out in the mountains. It felt nice to decompress. And then on the way home, Oz and I stopped for sushi, which was nice. We haven't gone out for sushi for a really long time, just because I'm like extremely picky about my sushi places. So we tried a new place today and it ended up being pretty decent. So that's good. So that was mostly my week, just a lot of like getting settled into the new store and the new routine. So next week will be my first full week within the new store, my first regular schedule with the new store. So hopefully from there, I'll be able to just settle into a role finally. So I did get done with a couple books this week. I knocked off one of the books that I've been kind of reading throughout the month and another book that I was halfway through last week. So glad on that progress. I did finish Chlorine by Jade Song. I finished it during my reading sprints this week. It was an interesting book. I'm still kind of figuring out some of my thoughts on it. Honestly, it's kind of a mixed review for me. I overall like the concept of it. I liked the literary approach of it. I liked the kind of psychologicalness of it. But I also didn't always love some of the like overly descriptive stuff in terms of like bodily functions and things. I think it kind of like went over describing that a little bit. But overall, pretty good. And then I finished one of the oldest books on my bookshelf, not in terms of when it was written, but just like a book that I've had on my shelf for a really long time. That was The Family Chow by Samantha Chang. This is a play on the Brothers Karamazov, from what I hear. I haven't actually read that yet. But this follows a family who owns a Chinese restaurant. Mom and dad are separated. Sons are vying for like financial security, who's going to take over the restaurant, a whole bunch of different stuff. And then eventually father gets killed and the sons are accused of murder. So this was pretty solid. It was interesting. I enjoyed reading it. I don't think that this will be like the best read of the month or anything, but it was a solid enough read. I'm happy I finally got to it. Like I said, it's been on my shelves for a really long time. So it's nice to knock off something that's been there for quite a while. And then I listened to Flashlight by Susan Choi, sorry, not Samantha. Flashlight by Susan Choi on NetGalley. I had an ARC of it. That is releasing at the beginning of June. I have a very complicated relationship with Susan Choi. Her book Trust Exercises was one of my worst books of 2023, I think. It was a book I wanted to love and really just did not get along with. I detested the style of it. And so I was kind of anxious to give Susan Choi another try because she's such a loved writer and she's received so much critical acclaim and all that. So I jumped at the chance to get the ARC of Flashlight. I enjoyed it a lot more than I expected. It was a completely different writing style from Trust Exercises. I enjoyed this writing style much more. I thought the story was super, super interesting. Essentially follows the story of a young girl who goes to the beach with her father one night. They're walking along the shore and then they disappear. Eventually, the girl is found on the beach with just a flashlight, and father is completely disappeared without a trace. And it follows both of their stories, but it's very like non-linear. It jumps back and forth in time to different places, to different perspectives, and it takes a while to kind of figure out what happened. And but it was in a much more interesting way than typical. Like I thought this was gonna, at first I was nervous. I thought it was gonna just be like a straight thriller. And I was like, I don't know. I have a hard time picturing Susan Choi writing a thriller. And it went in a very different direction. It still had some thriller aspects, but it was historical fiction, literary fiction. It was just a really interesting read. Interesting enough, in fact, that I'm going to do a full scale review on it because I have a lot to say about it. And it is a longer book, so there's a lot to talk about there. So look for that review next Friday. But yeah, suffice it to say, it was a better experience than Trust Exercises. So I also finished that final book for the BookTube Prize. Excited about that. I did enjoy that one. Votes are due on the 29th, so basically like in a couple days here. So I've gone ahead and submitted my ballot for what I'm voting for, but I was very excited. It was a pretty good reading round, and I got to read about several subjects that I really honestly knew next to nothing about. So that's for me always the best kind because like I get to learn and read something new and interesting. So I look forward to seeing the results of this voting round, and I look forward to finally getting to put up a video where I review the 6 books that I read for this round. Lots of interesting things about them. Okay, so upcoming week. As I mentioned, next week is the first full week in my new store. So I'm just going to be settling in over there, taking some time to get into a routine, get comfortable with everybody that's working there, kind of learn the flow of the store. I was there a couple of days this week, kind of observing and, just seeing how things are. But it'll be nice to just finally settle into a place. And then actually next week, since it's the end of May and then the start of June, I essentially have 2 weeks where I don't have anything crazy happening. And my plan is to really buckle down for those 2 weeks and just record as many videos as possible, edit as many videos as possible, get them uploaded and ready to go on YouTube, because the middle of June for me is crazy. We have this convention that's coming to town, and I have to stay on the Strip for like 4 days, and I'll be like kept busy the whole time. So I won't have any time for videos or recording during that week. And then the week after that, I'm taking a trip home for my birthday to San Diego. So also don't really want to be dealing with videos and things during that time period. So the next 2 weeks are really, really focused on settling into routines and then also getting up some YouTube videos. As for books for next week, or this upcoming week, I should say, as it's the end of May, I have a couple books that I'm just going to focus on wrapping up. I'm not really focused on starting a new book next week. So for my reading sprints, the last 2 reading sprints, I've been reading through After Parties by Anthony Vyazna. So I'm about 3 short stories in. I do think that this week for my reading sprint, I'm just going to focus on this particular book. I think that realistically, I can finish it during the reading sprints. There's about 150 pages left, so I don't think that that's an unrealistic amount to finish. I may read 1 or 2 stories before then, but that's my goal for the reading sprints this week is to finish this one. Additionally, I've been dragging on The Persians by Sanam Maluji. This was a book I got about halfway into, felt like I kind of needed a break from it. And then I do really want to finish it. I've heard some interesting things about it. It's also shortlisted for the Women's Prize and all that. So I do want to get to finishing it. But it was just one of those books where like it's kind of, I don't want to say tiring necessarily, but the characters can kind of wear on you. They're not very likable. So sometimes with those types of books, I need to take a break. And so I took the break and I want to make sure I wrap this up before the end of the month. And finally, I started Trinity, Trinity, Trinity by Erika Kobayashi. I read a couple chapters the other night. It was an interesting start. It's a lot more literary than I think I was expecting. So I'm just going to be reading a little bit of this every night for the rest of the week. And hopefully, maybe I might even finish this during the reading sprints as well. But I think that realistically, I can finish those 3 books before the end of the month. And if at all possible, like say that I have just like the most amazing week and I finish all those things, then I may just pick something randomly off of my NetGalley shelf. I have a lot of ARCs to catch up on. I know that, gosh, I have so many just like looking at my list right now. I have one called Ginkgo Season by Naomi Zhu Elegant that I wanted to get to. Yeah, I was happy to mark, Flashlight off by Susan Choi, but like this is my whole NetGalley shelf here, right? And I mean, it's not to say that every single one of those is one that I need to get to, but like ongoing, I have a ton to catch up on. So if I finish all those 3 books that are already started, then I probably will pick up one from NetGalley just randomly. And then upcoming for the channel, I did mention, like I said, the next 2 weeks, I have a pretty normal schedule. I'm settling into this routine at work, and I know that the middle of June is going to be really hectic. So the next 2 weeks, I'm focused on filming a lot of content for June. I have a book tag that I shot that I'd like to edit and get up on Tuesday. I'd like to get up a book review of Flashlight by Susan Choi next week. That way I can put that up right before the book debuts. I also would like to get up my TBR on June 1st, my TBR for the month of June. I have some really excellent books picked out for that. I've already started doing my research for my book of the month predictions for June. So lots of content upcoming. And I actually have some content that I shot earlier this year, some book crawls and some interesting things that I really need to sit down and edit. And so I'm going to knock on wood, but hopefully I will be able to sit down and get, even if I get 70% of the time that I have kind of set aside for the next 2 weeks to record and edit videos, I should be in really good shape through June. So fingers crossed for me. If you're happy to watch this, send me good luck, wishes for energy and weeks that go planned smoothly, because if I can get that done, I'll be in great shape. And I'd be a very happy Caitlin if I could do that. So that's about it. We've talked about this week. We've talked about what I read. The books that I finished. We talked about plans for next week and the books that I'm hoping to finish before the end of May. So hopefully this was an interesting little update. And if you're popping by to say hi, let me know what you're planning to read in the next week, or if you have anything exciting going on, just, feel free to drop it in the comments. I'm always happy to hear what's going on with you and say hello. All right. Thanks for popping in, and I'll see you soon. Oh, and then one other thing. So sorry. Reading sprints this Thursday. This is the last one for May. It is planned already. And then I will be later this week getting up reading sprints and weekly updates for the month of June, so that that's all scheduled out. So look for those soon if you're interested in the reading sprints. And if you haven't dropped by the reading sprints, please take a look, stop by if you can. I've been having a blast. A lot of people showing up, making really good progress on our reads. Really enjoying this Thursday morning routine. So hope to see you there. All right. Have a good week. Bye.